壁の向こうには海があるとアルミンが言った。
I love the start of this first episode because for me it's like they're already telling us that this season is going to be dealing hugely with world building. I mean, I'm 6 episodes in and that already seems to be the case, where the world is slowly opening up to us with mysteries beginning to be explored and some even solved.
お前ら入る前にちゃんと埃や泥を落としてきたか？は？やってねえ。
Anime does a great job of jumping straight back into these characters' personalities by reminding us within less than a minute that Levi is a neat freak, Eren is kind of scared of him but is also loud by nature, Jean kind of dislikes Eren, and Sasha hoards and steals food.
何の騒ぎだ。
これで何回目だ。貴重な食料なんだから。芋女ってね、いい加減にしろ。
So I mentioned this as a question of the day on the Anime Sins version of this video, and I'll ask it here. Do you guys enjoy the animation of this anime? Do you think it's changed at all? Some of my viewers were discussing the matter on my Discord server, with some stating they believe the animation has changed. Personally, I can't see how, and just to me, it looks absolutely stunning, but I'd love to know your thoughts. Once again, I'm reminded right away how bloody brilliant this anime's voice acting cast are.
もう10メートルもねえし、ところどころの肉も足りてねえ。そしてエレンのケツが出ている。
Anime proves it can still employ some comedic effect on occasion for some oftentimes much needed comedy relief from its usual perpetual dark atmosphere. I, for obvious reasons, had to avoid showing Eren's face just now if I'd like this video to make a few pennies, but they animated his face and the body of his Titan form beautifully just now. Both looked pretty damn shocking.
そういえば、あれは
I may well be wrong, but I'm too lazy to actually check it out. But am I right in my thinking that perhaps Attack on Titan is another anime that seems to be aging its characters a little? I noticed this with Midoriya in Season 3 of My Hero Academia, and of course in the famous Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Agree or disagree? Let me know down below.
今朝、トロスト区の兵舎で
Mad props to them, as always, for continuing to beautifully draw the large cities within the walls. I gave a lot of credit during the first 2 seasons for this, and Season 3 has yet to disappoint in this fashion as well.
悪党どもは必ず私の友人が受けた以上の苦痛をその身で生きながら体験することになるでしょう。
For this little speech of hers, she really is crazy. Not only animating horses moving across the screen and then away, but successfully animating them galloping off into the distance. You know full well how often I poke fun at anime on Anime Sins that animate characters walking on the spot, so I always greatly appreciate stuff like this.
食い物で釣られると人間は弱い。
Yet another good example to point out them nicely animating characters moving into the distance. This right here is an absolutely gorgeous overhead shot. Wow. How this was put together is completely stunning, even where the characters behind and in front keep moving for a moment, which really plays into what it'd actually be like in real life, where your brain doesn't quite register what's happening from the start. Again, can't show it, but my goodness, the level of fluid animation was just perfect right here. Kind of leaves me feeling all giddy and stuff.
Yeah, Levi. Oh, 大きくなったか?
This guy is a bastard, but his introduction is nothing short of fantastic. How he's animated with that incredibly confident walk and crazy kind of battle mentality shows a lot of his personality right from the get-go. Holy hell, just go ahead and feast your eyeballs on this when it's slowed down. Nothing but mad levels of respect for these animators. They're absolutely killing it. My word, that is just sick. Check this out in slow motion. It just looks incredible. Then after the shot hits the wall, I thought it was incredibly clever that Levi uses his cloak to shield himself for a second while he figures out his next move, and then finally add to that the CGI usage to create some debris, and it's just great. They can take one win here for the longer sequence that I know is coming very soon. I think I'll be dropping 2 if it still impresses me as much as it did the first 2 times of seeing it. Yeah, you guessed it, they can take 2 big fat wins for this amazing sequence, which really serves to open up not only how unique this gear is, but also just how great Levi is at actually using it in inventive ways. This brief flashback scene goes by incredibly quickly, but basically it tells quite a story about how bad I'm guessing Kenny actually is, since if this is indeed Levi, he looks beyond starved, but of course this is an assumption right now. Okay, this is the sequence I was truly most impressed by, so take yet another 2 here. What a breathtaking and unbelievably well animated scene. That was so bloody cool. Can't show it obviously, but as I'm sure you all well remember, Levi goes God mode here and epically takes out several enemies in a row with just his ODM gear and a single blade. Death fake out, which my wife was not best pleased with given that she loves Sheen. Seriously though, the first half of this entire episode pretty much blew me away. I was so damn impressed by it, to be honest. It's awesome how the voice actress could do a super totes cute Eren from season 2's flashback to their childhood of fighting bullies, and then do a much more mature adult voice like this. I love this side to Levi, because he talks like this back in season 1 right before they briefly captured the female titan in the forest. He doesn't claim to say that he's right or wrong in whatever he does, he just does it, and I don't think morality and justice really plays much into his own decisions, and I quite like that. Probably makes me a bit of a bad guy, but this made me laugh quite a lot. Eagle-eyed viewers can see that this is Erwin's father. Jesus, seems like an awful way he went out. It's good though, because this brief image tells us that he didn't enjoy it, at least at the start, whereas his superior, or whatever he is back there, seems to have lost all of his humanity. Love how they drop in this huge reveal moment here. It's kind of similar to the reveal of the Armored and Colossal Titans in Season 2. Just a shame I accidentally came across this information a couple of years ago by mistake! My god, the animation quality! So damn beautiful! Mate. Once again keeping it off screen, but her mother's end here and what her final words to her were make this seem pretty damn heartbreaking for young Historia. It's a great scene and how well it was all put together as well. This woman is one of my favourite voice actors for the crazy highs and lows she can take her voice. She just does such a wonderful job overall with this character. I love it.
そこから推測するに、ユミルは壁の外をうろつく巨人の一人で、ベルトルトやライナー、兄の仲間を食べたんだと思う。
Even though a lot of this information does come across a little like an ass pull given that the info she was working with was incredibly sparse to say the least, I'm still giving out a win here purely for the mangaka coming up with the idea in the first place since it's very creative in my eyes.
何より、次の調査兵団団長は、ハンジーゾエ、お前だ。
I tell you, you've just gotta love Erwin and how bloody resolute he is in terms of achieving his goals designed to serve humanity. He just gets on with it in such a cool and calm way. I love it! They really do a nice job of adding to the overall atmosphere when they add in little scenes like this where we can see the damage to the buildings caused all that time ago back in Season 1. I absolutely adored this moment, where Erwin cared little for the scowls of those around him or the cries against him by a widow, and instead focused on what he knew was the truth. It was a beautiful moment that further serves to build up the incredible character that is Erwin.
そのまま授業を終了しました。しかし、
Oh, baby Erwin.
これが事実なら調査兵団は解散状態です。
Seriously can't believe they put this much effort into the fake language on the paper just for this one short scene to make it look as good as possible.
兵長、足音です。
I noticed that every time Sasha says she can hear something in the distance, that Connie does this little ear cupping motion, and I just find it hilarious now.
あいつらがストエスクでやったこと、あの町を戦場に変えたこと。
だが彼らは潜伏していた巨人を見つけ出して捕らえることに成功した。そんなことを他の兵団にできると思うか？
I actually wrote a sin due to her initial statements and then deleted them as he nicely covered what I said. I like it when anime do that and don't just leave lingering statements that are easily disproven in the air.
そうだ。声を出すなよ。そのままの姿勢で指示通りに動く。
A nice way of explaining just how well the scouts work together, even in silence, just like we saw back in Season 1 when the Levi squad tried unsuccessfully to take on the female Titan Annie. God, that animation just looked so damn smooth and beautiful.
命を投げ打ってでもその天敵に一矢報いてやろうと
思わねえよ。誰もがあんたらみたいな死生観で生きてるわけじゃないんだ。
His reaction to her statement here is worthy of a win because it's more reflective of normal human reactions, I'd say.
やだ、もうあんたたちは負けたんだ。敗者なんだよ。
何言ってんの？
They actually go the extra mile here in having the building coming closer as she runs towards them. Forget about walking on the spot, which happens all the time in other anime. Attack on Titan goes one step further with moments like this.
被害者やその家族は突然地獄に落とされたんですよ。
ああ、知ってる。
God, I love how cool and cold he is here.
俺にはあなたたちが間違っているとは思いません。この世界の不正を正すことができるのなら、俺は何だってやります。
I think it's great here how he lives up to the ideals he felt back in Season 1 about bringing corruption to an end inside the walls. Then of course he really does follow through on his pledge soon after.
なんかお前、俺の嫌いなやつと似てたからな。
そのバカって兄が言ってたやつと同じやつか？
知らねえよ。バカばっかいるから。
I actually liked this moment because I personally saw it as Jean kind of letting us know that he doesn't really hate Eren.
あとは俺たちでやる。お前たちは怪しまれないうちにタイに戻れ。
はい。
Not only do they take shadowing to extreme lengths during scenes, but here they go one step further with spotted shadowing caused by the foliage. God damn, I love the animation on this anime. Makes me weep for what could have been with anime like Berserk Season 2. This stunning and scenic shot. It's so great that this has been a recurring theme since back in Season 1, with this guy constantly yelling at her whenever she goes kind of crazy to reel her back in. Always makes me laugh as well.
まだ骨は何本もあることだしな。
あんた、まともじゃない。
かもな。
My word, I actually get shivers down my spine watching Levi in this awesome ass scene. Another stunning overhead shot of the capital city, the only downside being that they didn't use some limited CGI for people down there, so when I thought about it, I found it a little odd, I guess, that no one was moving.
突如出現した超大型巨人および鎧の巨人によってカラネスクの扉は2つとも破壊されました。
So writing wins for this has been pretty difficult in terms of trying to verbalize my thoughts, but safe to say the whole scene was excellent and how it slowly ramped up the tension all the way along, leading up to this epic moment where Owen's plans come into play.
彼らの判断は意外だったかのザックレー総統。いや、ちっとも。
Honestly, I was so damn shocked to see how this dude reacted to the whole situation and had a part in putting it all together. This entire episode didn't see a great deal of action, but it was definitely just as entertaining as usual with moments like these. I'll go ahead and add another win here for how the rest of the scene was handled. Once again, kind of difficult to verbalise effectively, but for me, I saw it as the story getting pushed into an amazing new direction that I honestly never saw coming a mile off. It's world building to an epic degree when you take into account everything we know so far as well. In summary, I loved this first half a great deal actually.
お前から預かった3人も死なせてしまったな。すまない。
This was something I was going to poke fun at on the other channel, but honestly it just felt like a moment where Levi lets part of his emotions out in a small way and she's acknowledging it with that facial expression. What do you guys think? Let me know in those comments down below.
先ほど行われたザックレ総統の宣言通り、我々の目的は兵団組織による統治ではありません。
Look at that damn attention to detail. They didn't just keep Erwin half stepping onto the carriage and then cut away to this guy talking up close. Instead, they made him step back into the background.
つまり君らもやらなくても私がくたばる前に一丁かましてやるつもりだったのだ。
His reaction and statement here made me genuinely laugh out loud when I first saw it with my wife, because I just truly didn't expect that to come from someone like him.
なんだ
This seems like a brilliant way to stop someone from being able to injure themselves and thus turn into a Titan. It's pretty genius, actually.
アルミ調査兵団は今どうなってる
They've really given this damn cavern such a beautiful design as well as mysterious, no less. They also used a small amount of CGI to really make it sparkle, and it looks fantastic.
俺の見たものじゃない違う
Oh my god!
Oh my god, we're actually getting some serious answers and my brain can't take it.
どうだ思い出したか父親の罪を
By the way, I called this happening. I said it to my wife near the start of this season when they revealed how Titans return to human form if they eat a special human. God, I'm good.
じゃあ私お姉ちゃんみたいになりたい。え？私大きくなったらお姉ちゃんみたいになれるかな？
I've got to say, this is a fairly new technique for showing a past memory as far as I know. It looks pretty good, like old film or something.
フリーダの中に宿る巨人の力だった
Holy balls, I can't show it as it's rather bloody, but my brain is trembling at all of this amazing juicy info. They also animated that short battle sequence excellently, as they always do, to really give us a feeling that it's two giants duking it out.
俺もだよ、王様。
Pretty cool how they gave him the same verbal tick as Levi has used a good few times.
お前の統治は奴隷用の気が我々陛下の血筋とは違ってな
Well now, that is extremely messed up.
レイスケは人類の記憶を都合よく改ざんできるというわけじゃ
Even though his eyes healed up a great deal, and rather quickly, at least they make an effort to make it still look visibly damaged.
目標と思われるレイス領地礼拝堂を目指す
This is getting me pumped, boys!
かつてのアッカーマン家は王側近の武家だったそうじゃねえか。それが今じゃ一族根絶やし寸前だ。
Don't mind me, just going ahead and dropping yet another win for yet more juicy ass information being dropped. This music, this scene, this amazing build up, holy hell, take another 2 wins here. So it's been a long ass time since I finished writing the first half video, but I'm sure in it I'd have mentioned this OP. However, in case I did not, this bastard has grown on me something crazy and I literally listen to it every day at the moment. It's just such a great song, I honestly adore it.
入ってきたか。
Now if you look closely enough you can tell that these are in fact CGI, however I had to pause and go back several times to see if the ones coming down the stairs were in fact CGI or not. It looked that damn good. CGI in anime seems to be something slowly improving across the board, but in these larger, more well-known anime it's going through the roof in terms of overall quality.
煙が邪魔で的が絞れない。
24、32
Okay, so several things to say here. Firstly, they did a wonderful job setting up the scene. It looks fantastic all around, from the smoke lingering in the air to the structure they're inside of, and then to top it all off, the actual animations we see. Secondly, it's very cool to see Levi able to so quickly assess the situation like we see here, with him counting the enemy so fast as he swings on by. And lastly, what follows is just brilliant animation in my eyes, and truly a great moment for action. Personally, I quite like this moment, because I saw it as Jean kind of making up his mind once and for all about who he wants to be when he took the soldier's life. It's a nice bit of character progression that doesn't need much talking about in order for it to be brought across successfully. Yeah, that's just fucking gorgeous though, isn't it? On top of that, I love seeing her going crazy and taking out so many foes like Levi did back in episode 2. Take another 2 here, bloody easily actually. Oh my fucking god, Levi is so cool! By the way, I honestly and truly don't think any single piece of music would fit either this anime's dark theme or these combat scenes better than this song. Not only was Levi's strategy awesome here in terms of using Kenny's main advantage against him, but on top of that, the animation was just beautiful as Levi comes bursting through the flames and takes out his foe with one overly powerful strike, breaking through his defenses. I also kind of liked it because it's as though they wanted to cement Levi as being absolutely the strongest human, and they did that in my eyes by having him best his old teacher so quickly when it was actually one-on-one. I was genuinely under the impression that she had died here, and I wasn't happy at all, because for me she's a great source of limited comedy in this anime, so you can imagine how happy I was when I found out she was alright still. When I saw this originally, I made a mental note to give props to them for thinking up a great and logical way to stop ODM gear in a cave like this, so here I am doing it. My word, just look at this scene slowed right down. That is done so beautifully. Nice little moment here is slightly undercut by the fact that at the time when this happened she explained feeling happy that her mother had even interacted with and touched her, but all the same it's good to know that the scene is meant to portray her similar feelings of feeling like she shouldn't have been born, much like Eren is expressing. I think it's very clever to keep Ymir in people's minds despite being gone all season by having a character as important as Historia make this huge decision and base it on what she said to her back in season 2. This was such a cool ending because you could tell right away that this was going to be big. I must admit that I'm continually impressed by the animation that's used when a Titan is transforming. The use of CGI for steam and debris is perfect, and then you get lovely hand-drawn animation like this used within the scene itself. Really does put a whole picture together, making it look great overall. The voice actor for Eren doing an outstanding job of whimpering through these lines right here. This was such an epic build-up and moment where we see Eren make yet another important decision for himself, which in the past seems to have led to bad things happening time and time again. Yet here he makes the right call, and we get this great scene which looks beautiful as Eren uses a brand new ability to stabilize the place and save his friends. This one is deserving of 2 wins, I think. Alright, if we're ever going to talk about nightmare scenes for animators to make look great, it's got to be one just like this, which has so damn much going on screen at the same time. So this is quite obviously CGI, and I think it's rather obvious, but what I prefer here is the covering of it in smoke and steam in order to hide the bulk of the body. Sadly, nothing similar could be done with the Colossal Titan in Season 2 versus Eren, and thus that was kind of odd looking at the time, but this just fits. Whoa. Oh hell yes, how great does that look? Great enough for a ding! This made me laugh harder than it should have, and only because it made me think of an episode of Hina Matsuri where the security officer is in town watching Hina and wishing that she'd send some Yakuza flying. If you've seen it, I'm sure Connie's reply will remind you of the reply Blondie gave her. Just perfect. It's not really a win, I guess, but who cares? I love this anime. Okay, so I already mentioned this thing, but I just wanted to take a moment to say how incredibly awesome the mere idea of this Titan is and how huge it was. Horrifying, but really, really awesome all the same. Overhead shots like this do such a great job of building a real sense of scale in this anime, and then right as I finish writing this win, we get this equally beautiful overhead shot of this different district all lit up at night. So I think 2 wins are easily in order here.
人類のためなんて理由じゃないの。お父さんが間違ってないって信じたかった。
Sometimes in anime we often see characters acting in ways that suddenly we don't expect, or contrary to their usual selves from past episodes, and it can be kind of irritating or disappointing. Such a case for me was General E's death in the Kamika Kill, and how she decides to kill the MC instead of trying to save him when she's in love. But I love in this anime how a character like Mikasa has always been 100% true to her feelings towards Eren, shown even here in a short scene like this. We clearly see her anger towards Historia, and I really like that she's so consistent in that way. Nice demonstration is nice.
ただし、民の命を守ることこそが我々兵士の存在意義であることに変わりはありません。
Sorry to go on about it again, but I've just got to give mad props for overhead shots like this, which would have taken ages to put together. Alrighty, for these awesome sound effects and the animation themselves, plus adding in the music, I'm going to be dropping 2 wind bombs on this bitch. Okay, dropping another additional win here for this moment and just how well put together it is in terms of realism, of how the soldiers are reacting, and how amazing it all looks. Man, I'm so glad she survived. Although it's done in a funny way, as I demonstrated over on Anime Sins, it's nice to have a moment where we kind of go back to the old, stronger Eren and hopefully say goodbye to the crying one. I can't show its face as it appears pretty soon, otherwise I risk demonetization, but I just wanted to say how pumped this scene gets me. It's done so damn well that it legit feels like a giant foe is climbing the wall. This is wonderful because it's honestly making these guys look like a super elite squad of Titan killing badasses, which coincidentally is exactly what they are. My goodness me, how amazing does this goddamn scene look? Again, I think this moment and the epic planned explosion just before it require huge amounts of praise for how well it all came together in the end. This scene must have been very difficult to animate, and they did such an outstanding job, I think. Did you guys love this bit as well, eh?
話を聞いてよ父さん。巨人を一匹残らず殺せばいいんだよ。なんで分かってくれないんだ。
Yet more questions being dropped on us after a whole bunch were answered over the past 9 episodes, like why Rod decided that bringing back the First King was more important and changed his views, for example.
この世に俺より強い奴がいるなんて思いもしなかった。これが巨人ってやつか。
I'm not entirely sure if over the previous 5 Everything Great About Attack on Titan episodes, if I've ever mentioned just how damn cool I think it is that the mangaka thought up humans using Titans like this, but it really is just damn cool.
あんた本物の王様なんだろ。話してくれよ。見逃してくれ。俺を逃がしてもう一度チャンスをくれよ。
This moment nicely cemented for me just who Kenny was and really how crazy he could be at times.
あれほどの力を持った王が下船を相手に神戸を垂れやがる。
One can only imagine the profound effect this encounter had on Kenny, that he'd go on to follow him loyally for so many years and then on top of it defend his name against a minor insult from his brother during the encounter with Eren and Historia.
ちと情けねえ格好だったが、こうしてアッカーマン家への迫害は終わった。
I absolutely loved this when I first saw it, because it further expanded the world for me. All of this time there were actual huge cities, or at least one city under the surface.
お前は生きてる方か?
Alrighty, so being careful what I show here and indeed what I say, but the idea that she was living down there and doing that job and had Levi living down there and in the state they were both in is dark as hell. Darkness is what this anime excels at, that and being deadly serious in tone. A scene like this serves nicely to shock the viewer, and rightly so. Most strange win of the entire season, but this one is for simply reminding me of The Witcher 3 with this music. Told you it was strange. For the whole end of this episode, I'm dropping 2 last wins. There was hardly anything at all to make fun of over on Anime Sins, and here I just found myself enjoying it. For the end of Kenny and how that story played out, to Historia being crowned queen and her and the others' moment with Levi, plus the end scenes, I think it's well deserving of another 2. Okay, so 2 wins here. Firstly for this shot of Mikasa, which actually makes her look incredibly similar in the eyes department to Levi, and secondly, once again, for consistency in her character, for having her be jealous here. So as usual, I gotta be careful and not show the naked Titans, but dropping a quick win here for the ingenious use of Eren's ability to make it so that they can safely take out Titans from above.
本当か嘘か。彼はなぜ壁の外にいるのか覚えていなかった。
I always thought this was a pretty genius and mysterious plot twist for Eren's father in terms of how he got outside the wall, or maybe he came from there in the first place. This anime, for me personally, is probably my favourite in terms of a mystery plot slowly being revealed, followed by Made in Abyss most likely. How about you guys?
違うぞカルラ、私は。
いや、私なんぞに務まるものではないでしょう。
Eren's mum is Faf! Okay, so I'm going to be honest here. I straight up loved this moment, because it was the first time ever that we actually saw a scout structure completely made outside of the walls. They even go as far as to show us that it was purposefully built up in the trees, which I find very clever. I don't even know why, but I just loved seeing this. I thought it was great. Yeah, baby Eren gets a win for being Totsudorbs to the extreme here.
どこへ行く？
ついてこないでくれ。
待て。お前が撃てばいいだろう。カルラの仇を。
Alright, so passing on through to drop yet another 2 wins here for this great moment. It's amazing to find out that there was this guy who we've known since season 1 that was utterly in love with Eren's mother. Then we've got this perfect music which fits so damn well to boot. You know, I always thought maybe Mikasa or Jin did this, so I was quite surprised to find out it was him. Nice touch.
つまり現場の判断も含めて君に託すことになりそうだ。状況によっては誰に使用するべきか 君が決めることになる。
Oh god, just knowing that this will likely one day be an option for Levi, who will use it to turn someone into a Titan, is out of this world for me. It adds something to this anime which is wonderful. It's not a mystery, but it's a fantastic setup for a future event that's sure to come and one that will likely blow our minds when it does arrive.
餌で構わない。おとりに使え。指揮権の序列もこれまで通り。
You've got to give Erwin mad props here for this commitment, not only to the mission but also to humanity, in that he's willing to die in order to see it through successfully, even with Levi's coming threats against him. This entire scene just had me really laughing. It's once again a nice touch of comedy in an anime that's usually so dark and tense.
気の毒だと思ったよ。
Getting to see this very brief glimpse of Bertolt escaping after wrecking the cannons on the wall after all of this time of knowing it was him, it's still kind of weird to see.
じゃあ、そりゃ誰のことだ？
お前以外にいるかよ。
I enjoyed this for two reasons. Firstly, because it reminded me so much of Season 1 with these two fighting, and secondly, because it felt like a return to form for Eren to get hot-headed at a comment like this.
誰も止めてくれねえんだ。
いつまで続くんだ。まずいぞ。もう肉が出てきちまう。
This scene also had me laughing my ass off at the sheer tiredness of these two still feeling the need to fight until they've been broken apart, even though it's not happening.
人類の未来を任せたぞ2番兵長この町を救ってくれてありがとう
Seeing them all getting a send-off like this for the first time served only to get me even more pumped up for the coming episodes and to become slightly depressed at having to wait until next year to see them. Hell yeah! And if I wasn't already pumped up enough, we get this epic bloody moment. I've got to be really careful with what I show here, but another win for how they transitioned from the ED into this final scene. Then one last win for this final scene itself. I'm one of the many people who very much enjoyed the first OP for Season 3, but I must say I enjoyed this one as well, since it felt like a return to form of what we saw in Seasons 1 and 2, but musically and visually speaking, with that intense soundtrack and flashing images instead of a more relaxing feel from the first OP of the season. Leave it to Attack on Titan to nicely animate characters and horsey-warsies walking, and also do a great job with the illumination from their lights. Oh, also, I absolutely friggin' love the idea of using the stones found in the cavern earlier in the season to create lamps. That's both clever to come up with and implement.
そうだぞ。休んどけよ、エレン。
バカ、名前で呼ぶな。
そうだった。すまん。
Being smart and working in the notion of not saying Eren's name because it gives information to the enemy.
そこで初めて知ったんだ。俺は不自由なんだって。
I know we've seen this book before, but I'd love to see more of it. A book clearly written prior to the days of the city's formation. It's so clever having something like that.
この辺り見覚えがある。確か薪を拾いに来たことが。
I enjoyed this moment. It was like the show reminding us of how long it's taken to get here and just how close they now are to where everything began. Even at this distance, the houses look worse for wear, ravaged by time away from humans caring for the buildings and Titans probably smashing into them as they walked through all those years ago. Views from above that take ages to make and almost always get a win. Never mentioned it before, but I also dig the idea they had to make houses spill onto the other side of the wall because there's no more room in the walled-in nearby city. It's the same thing to a degree that they used in The Witcher 3 with Novigrad, except that was more non-humans outside, but there was still poor people to be fair.
これより作戦を開始する総員立体起動に移る
Brilliant hand-drawn animation against a moving CGI backdrop. Once again, absolutely killing it with these beautiful edits. This seamless transition between the real world and then straight into their plan. Levi. Yet another one for a gorgeous ODM gear edit. giving us an up-and-close look at how ravaged the city has been since humans were forced to flee. Multiple hand-drawn characters moving on screen while CGI characters run in the background really creates a great effect that's hardly noticeable. Armin continuing to use his intelligence just as he always has since Season 1. Firstly, once again this looks brilliant. Secondly, his speech and the music in the background do a great job of building up excitement. Thirdly and lastly, the specifics of his speech nicely play into later events in my opinion, ruining his statement of everyone being special when almost everyone is wiped out in utter cold-blooded murder and devastation by the Beast Titan, which nicely plays into this continuing notion of Eren gaining personal strength only to have it knocked out of him time and time again because of the harsh reality of their world. This entire moment of plugging the wall. Also another win for them starting to give us a much greater idea of how a human controlling a Titan works over the next few episodes, as we see Eren must quickly detach himself at the perfect time to make a getaway when using his hardening ability. On top of this, I'll be pointing out what I believe is the anime showing us how someone appears to be when they've overused their Titan form later on, as we see their faces look scarred even outside of the Titan. Kawaii.
早くて2分前が限度のはず。使用直後のポットが2分で冷めるはずがない。
Erwin and Armin are a real couple of people in the old brain game, eh?
なんで敵は穴を塞がれても出てこない。こんなに探してもまだ見つからないなんて。
In terms of character building, they absolutely nail it with Armin constantly doubting himself between bouts of extreme ingenuity. Can't show it, but the moment that Reiner reveals himself is bloody brilliant. Reiner! In addition, once again I have to be careful of what I'm showing, but the moment Levi leaps into action against Reiner and attacks him is just outstanding. This moment had my wife and I freaking out from excitement. The transformation, the effects, the music. God damn, I love this anime. You know what? I think that this is one of those extremely rare moments where I offer up 2 wins, because not only was this moment beyond epic, but for anime-only fans like myself, it came as a huge shock and surprise. Erwin's speech most definitely requires an additional last-minute win as well. I loved seeing this because it really started to show us a whole new side to the Titans in general. I can't express how many of these moments genuinely shocked and excited me. Beautiful use of CGI, I gotta say. You best damn well believe my wife and I were like, what the heck are Thunder Spears? And yeah, I love it because they didn't outright tell us and instead surprised us in a bit. This!
危なかった。あの時意識を全身に移すのが一瞬でも遅れていれば、あのまま即死だった。
Okay, I wondered about this and completely forgot they explained it, so take a win. I've said it since day one and I'll say it again. No other anime does as well as Attack on Titan when it comes to creating sequences that truly look like giants are plodding around a much smaller world. Man, this is just completely epic. We've been waiting for so long for part 2 of this inevitable battle, and now it's here. It did not disappoint. One extra for this hard punch, way harder than I expected it to be. They never cease to create titans that are freaky as hell. Literally every season they've stepped it up a gear in different ways. Hats off to them.
訓練兵時代はよく自分と父の考えた
Cadet Erwin! This ends up becoming some outstanding all-rounded off-character arc for Erwin, as he mentally traverses all the decisions he's made since his childhood which led him to where he is today. But there's a much darker side that's not revealed until later about the sadness in him built upon by the decisions he's made and the sheer volume of people he's lost under his command. It's brilliant how they bring it full circle over the next few episodes. My word, just look at that. Whew, that, wow, look at it! Hot damn, that high level quality editing! I could just eat it up. I tell you what, for this, they can go ahead and take an extremely rare 2 wins again. That animation quality is absolutely beautiful. And once again, the missus and I had our jaws on the floor. Take another! I love it! Attack on Titan does some of the best twists and shock moments in all of anime. That totally forgot to mention the ED at the end of episode 1, but I like this one. It's very calming. It's like they switched what they had from the first half of season 3 with a calmer OP and more intense ED. It's a good song though, and the visuals are nice, focusing on their past mainly as cadets training. It's like they're using multiple methods to remind us how everything is coming full circle story-wise and perhaps to an end somewhat. I honestly cannot recall if they showed this in an OVA or not. I know I've seen it before, but it may have been spoiled a bit and then I looked into it from the manga perhaps, but I'll give a win in case I'm incorrect and this is the first they've shown on it. One of the biggest secrets of the first season. I love how they gave them all distinctly human elements, how they grieve doing the things they have to do, how they feel remorse and empathy and pain. They're not just some cold-blooded murderers in that regard. That thus makes it so much clearer when their former allies have such a hard time taking them down and such. Also giving Reiner what I assume is a form of PTSD is also excellent, as we see soon. This is something I actually forgot about, and once again does lend itself to proving how human they were, especially when acting human with everyone for long periods of time. I don't know, I've not dealt with many people on their deathbeds, but it feels like talking nonsense like this would probably be something someone would do. Hey Anime Wins, why are you talking about not dealing with many people on their deathbeds? That's weird. Yeah, well I was a prison officer for 11 years, young blood, and sadly dealt with many deaths and near deaths and stuff, so there's your answer to your question you didn't ask, homeboy! The PTSD shizzle dizzle I mentioned previously. That. Getting to see moments like these of the enemies, some of the worst in the entire anime, being displayed as human, with flaws and feelings. It's a beautiful technique when character building enemies that, when done perfectly, spits out characters and their arcs like Meruem from Hunter x Hunter, arguably one of the greatest villains of all time. Seeing these two like this, again showing feelings towards the falsely downed Reiner. Some might criticise their actions here, but I praise it. You gotta show empathy for them, be in their shoes of training and living alongside Reiner for years, eating together, laughing together and working together. If anything, it would be highly unrealistic if they were nothing but cold-blooded. Hell, even Gene is shown to stumble on his cold words. It's brilliant writing and voice acting. was always going to get a win, wasn't it? I missed this first time around because I didn't pause it, but this time I read it for this video, and now you can too. But to save you time, it says there's evidence to suggest an outside culture drinking luxury stuff. How cool is that? I'll never get bored of seeing people chilling out in Eren's Titan form.
君たちを前にした途端にまた泣き言を繰り出し許しを請うんじゃないかってね。
Just like with the others whom I've pointed out, this episode does wonders to finalise the character building of Bertolt, who goes from mild and meek to murderer in an instance, begging for forgiveness when he's cornered by his former allies, and then to stone cold killer, more effective in his mission than even Reiner at the very end. Whilst I did sin this little exchange on the corresponding Sins version, it still looked great.
世界はこんなにも残酷じゃないか。
Absolutely goddamn stunning sequence. Justifying Reiner's earlier statement of him being the one with the greatest Titan power. Wow. Seeing how Eren in Titan form can interact with people, one holding on via a rope and him holding the others. Don't even know why, but I love that. Most people hate CGI. I'm not the greatest fan of it myself. Berserk 2016 can flip off with extreme prejudice, but this here, covered in smoke, flying debris, it looks nice. I wonder if anyone has made the observation that these two are like two people playing chess at this stage, covered by pawns and other high-ranking units like Reiner and Levi on the other side, as each side attempts to lay waste to the other. Interesting. One of the very best examples of building a truly realistic set piece of giants in a normal-sized world. This looks outstanding to represent that to us, the viewer. Connie dropping mad puns at a wild time. Armin not only having the understanding to realise he can't handle the situation, but also furthermore passing it on to Jean temporarily so they can use his abilities to help out right then and there. Moving towards the river is clever, but even more so is using Eren to conserve gas. I friggin' love that. One of the best worst moments of the new season. We see Levi pondering to himself, content to rely on his allies as the Beast Titan goes into action in such an absolutely spectacular looking fashion. It's built wonderfully, looks fantastic as we see the red clouds form alongside the debris. Can't tell you how much I like this moment, and not just for its shock value. I'm being careful how much I'm showing, but yeah, goodness me, even on the second throw it causes utter devastation, and in some ways it's worse than the first as even Levi feels helpless stuck between buildings. Gotta love how calm Erwin remained at a time like this. It's like he saw absolutely no sense in panic and worry like a true leader. Complete pair of badasses not moving a muscle while death flies their way. I was genuinely shocked and taken aback by just how small Eren was in his Titan form against the massive Colossal Titan, even after seeing the graph over the break back in Season 1 or 2. Jin has a perfect voice actor. Hell, they're all amazing. It's crazy to me how well they all suit their characters. It's the same for My Hero Academia to me. This attack and the resulting result of said attack. I mean, how cool does Mikasa look as the thunder spears explode behind her? This damn shock and surprise, my word, I love this anime!
そうやって死んでいくことがこんなに何の意味もないことだなんて思いもしなかったんだ。
The reality of war in general expressed by a single soldier but speaking that which many of them would be thinking.
すでに状況はそういう段階にあると思わないか。大敗北だ。正直言って。
I don't know if this track has been used before now, but it's amazing. If anyone knows the track name, hit those comments for me and I'll give you a heart icon.
私の命を捧げれば。
Realistically now, multiple soldiers have begun to lose hope and are starting to lose their heads to a degree.
このまま地下室に行きたい。俺が今までやってこれたのも、いつかこんな日が来ると思ってたからだ。
A rare moment of completely laid bare honesty from Erwin that's from the heart.
仲間たちは俺らを見ている。捧げた心臓がどうなったか知りたいんだ。まだ戦いは終わってないからな。
This moment is most excellent, as it nicely builds upon both his and Levi's big decision in a few episodes' time, but I'll save that for the next video, of course. Also, getting to see all of these people from Season 1 and 2 was amazing to me. I loved how I was able to recognise all of them so easily, and it put into perspective just how many people died to get them to this point.
夢を諦めて死んでくれ。新兵たちを地獄に導け。獣の巨人は俺が仕留める。
God damn, this is so intense. I love it. The start of this charge and the people essentially just screaming. This beautifully edited moment of courage and dedication. For all of Erwin's speech. I can't show it, but everyone being hit by the attack from the Beast Titan is gut-wrenching, including having to see the seemingly invincible Erwin get hit.
年寄りから子供まで特攻させるんだろうな。どうせ誇り高き氏がどうとか言い出すぞ。ふざけやがって。
Okay, so there's clearly more to this moment than meets the eye. It's like the idea of this long-raging war, the king who stole people's memories, and humanity being forced to throw themselves at Titans as cannon fodder truly made him more angry than we've seen before now.
何マジになってんだよ。お前は父親とは違うだろ。
Foreshadowing in the best way like an absolute beast, Titan. See what I did there?
これが死か。ヒッチは今頃何を。いや、あいつはまだ寝てるか。ああ、いいな。
Seeing this poor guy who we've known since season 1 but not in a huge way, an incredibly proud man who always tries to do his best, to do more for humanity than sit behind the cozy inner walls get killed is hard to see. On top of this, his final thoughts bear an incredible resemblance to people facing trauma, one that may end their lives and in his case does end his life. How do I know this? Dealt with multiple riots in the prison service against prisoners armed with multiple weapons. But we're not here to talk about that. These final brave souls, knowing that death has come for all of their comrades, still continue to bravely charge their foe, all in the understanding that they will indeed die, but before that, they must keep his attention on themselves and not on the approaching Levi. For the start of something amazing. The first attack, turning the Beast Titan into sushi and his utter bewilderment at what just occurred. How beautifully they animated this glorious moment of sheer god mode badassery, cutting the ankles and showing the Titan fall to the ground with a thud rattling his face. For this final moment of Levi showing off his incredible speed and precision as he deals the final blows against this Titan, removing him from inside of it. It's one of the greatest moments of the entire anime for me. It rivals Annie versus Levi as well. They can take 2 for this all day long, and please keep in mind that's the max I ever give for a single moment. That. This scene no doubt catching everyone by surprise in a shocking twist. If you didn't know Levi any better, you'd rightly think that this moment would be the death of him, as it has been for so many others who make a single mistake against their clever Titan foes. Luckily, we know better. Then we all breathe easy as we see Levi continue to destroy Titan after Titan with ease, even after fighting non-stop all of this time. Dude's such a damn expert at using his resources.
僕はなぜか外の世界のことを考えると勇気が湧いてくるんだ。
This music never ceases to get to me. It's very inspirational sounding, works great with speeches, and Armin's here is no exception. I love Mikasa, and then the next moment was bloody epic as well.
状況がわからない。力もあまり残ってない。
Ryan, ew. All jokes aside, this is what I was referring to earlier on when I mentioned how they showed us for the first time how someone appears when they've potentially spent too long inside of a Titan or maybe taken too much damage. If not, I'm not sure what causes them to appear this way.
正直言えば、みんなまとめて吹き飛んで欲しかった。
Also, this further seems to back up my theory. Let me know your thoughts down below though.
アルミン、お前、まさか。
Getting this view for the first time, I believe, giving us an understanding how it looks from the inside out. That's voice acting. Whoa! The plan failing to go exactly as planned and thus subverting our expectations once again. This scene leading to one of the most horrid visuals I've seen in anime, rivaling the 1997 Berserk view of Griffith near the end. If you've seen it, you know what I mean. Luckily, I think I can show this, but just how awful is it? Also, I think Bertolt saying he will end it for him quickly goes back to what I said before about those lingering human emotions still in them as they fail at being 100% cold-hearted warriors. Man, that's so awful, but also so beautiful and well done. Hats off to them. They can take 2 for this as well. And again, if anyone knows this particular track name, I'd be much obliged to know it in those comments. For the legendary return of Hanji, one of my favourite non-main characters.
Raina, dete!
Mikasa being Mikasa and blowing Reiner the heck out of his Titan like a bounce! Eren finally taking down the Colossal Titan for the first time ever and pulling his ass out!
僕は負けてないよ。僕は逃げてない。
分かってた。お前が誰よりも。
I like this. It speaks volumes about Armin's character, and then they hit us hard from the visual of child Armin to what's left over from him being burnt. Man, it's tough to see. Armin went from being a pretty weak character with a brain to doing one of the most brave and honourable things ever in the anime, giving his life to achieve a military goal and to hopefully give humans an edge in their great battle. Armin almost died like a hero, regardless of what happens in the next episode.
お前の力に頼るしかなくて、アルミン。お前は
I like this because it kind of leans into the known history of Armin insofar as that Eren didn't expect that he would put himself through that in order to succeed. Let's be honest though, the reason the event hit us all so hard was because none of us thought he'd subject himself to that torture in order to see the plan through. It's probably one of the greatest moments of the 3rd season. So in short, they get a win here for Eren solidifying what we all felt at the time, utter disbelief that he'd go out that way. How they beautifully animate this Titan crossing the rooftops and slightly slipping on them is such a nice touch of reality. This is a beautiful and imposing shot. I love the slow zoom on Eren's determined eyes, because if you look at this moment from his perspective, as far as he knows he's pretty much alone, and yet he thinks on his feet by grabbing a weapon and holding it to Bertolt's throat as a hostage and stands ready to fight. It's part of what makes his character so likeable to me since day one, is that he doesn't give up, especially lately. His reaction here is already extremely telling in that he doesn't care a whit for Bertolt's life.
俺たちはあの父親の被害者。お前は父親に洗脳されている。
Foreshadowing. Levi.
わかったよ、リヴァイ。痛み分けて手を打とう。
It's almost like Zeke has had some character development as a villain in these past episodes, since originally he saw these humans as absolutely nothing special. Then he met Levi and got his ass handed to him, and now in the face of Levi he flees, fearing his life.
今のでガスが完全に消えた。奴を追う。ガスと刃全てよこせ。
How determined Levi is to complete his promise to Erwin to kill the Beast Titan, despite fighting as long and as hard as he has already. He's still more than willing to immediately continue the chase. Finding out your boy Armin still lives. Scenery shot.
この左胸に入ってた鉄のケースは何だい?
This very messed up view of Reiner smacks us upside the head in case we forgot between episodes that Attack on Titan is a pretty gosh darn dark type anime. I'm assuming he's having a hard time talking since he had his head basically taken off at one point and thus his voice box is still healing, and if so, that's a nice touch.
首を跳ねてもまだ安心できないよ。
Don't want to be risky and show too much, but definitely giving a win for Hanji being awesome and slicing her blade into Reiner's neck. They made it both look and sound great too, no less.
わからないものはわからないと蓋をして、この先どうやったら俺たちは巨人に勝てるんですか?
During episode 6, they nicely take the time to build further on Shin's character from the past few episodes, whereby he comes under a cloud of uncertainty when the time finally comes for Reiner's death, despite how he initially appeared in previous episodes. Ultimately, things like this are just lovely little added touches to really round out characters.
まさかこの後に及んで。
やったぞ! Blasting us with these frantic words and the imagery of Mikasa's shocked and teared face almost seemingly halfway through Jin's monologue is a fantastic and abrupt transition. Even at an incredibly tense moment like this, Levi is still able to completely keep his cool. Jin saving her and oh my god! Okay, some quick fire wins coming at you right now. Firstly, for this beautifully detailed animation. Connie's voice breaks here. The fact that this was kept in is wonderful as it's incredibly realistic. Connie immediately giving chase and then right away stopping when the order is given. Again, this plays on building reality in the situation, giving Hanji's reason to cease the chase. Finally, for this quick fire sequence, one last win for a big plot twist! Plot twist again!
この注射はエルヴィンに打つ。
This moment showing Eren's passion during the situation, coming extremely close to aggression but just about holding himself back. And again here, Mikasa is essentially doing the same thing but making it more obvious. It's almost as though she couldn't believe what she's heard, that Armin will be left to die and thus instinctively draws her blade as though to save him or something.
お前ら、自分で何をやっているのか。
Shout out to this outstanding CGI usage in and around the scene, by the way.
邪魔をするな。エレン、 市場を捨てろ。
And here Eren goes from near aggression to a basic level of aggression, again as stated to demonstrate to us just how much he's teetering between following orders as a soldier and not wanting to watch his best friend die before him. Then as soon as Levi makes 100% clear what he plans to do with the injection, Eren once again, for the third time in a row, goes against his orders and then finally attacks him. Also, shout out to us finally seeing this scene from the very end of the first half's end episode of Season 3. Mikasa showing that powerful ass Eren love and instinctively leaping to attack Levi and clearly attempting to straight up murder him. Being scared of Mikasa. Eren's speech, listing all of Armin's accomplishments, many of which I admittedly did forget myself, and my word, his voice acting throughout is amazing and full of passion and emotion. Scenery shots of destroyed cities with CGI that almost always score a win. Everyone's unique reactions to the scene being witnessed before them. Mikasa's amazing reaction to the thought that Armin would now most definitely die before her eyes. Goddamn, Mikasa is tough as nails, squeezing her wrist enough to make her wince. For the brave death of this cool ass dude, someone who I've been shouting props to since Season 1. Also, yeah, you could call this an Ex Machina moment, but I choose to think of this as him thinking A, about protecting Hanji, his superior and likely friend, someone who he's looked out for years first and foremost, and B, that he thought extremely quick on his feet in order to think of a plan to save her. This feels like some epic foreshadowing for Season 4, to be honest. Showing Eren's teeth were knocked out. Also, I'd be a knob for not winning his final desperate plea to save his friend even after Mikasa has given in. Man, I can't be dishing out too many wins all the time for voice acting, but I feel this is a special occasion that just deserves one. Wow. My boy Jotaro beautifully voicing this moment. Yeah, I know I said no more for voices, but it's Jotaro and he's skillfully voicing it like this. Get out of here!
Levi, arigato.
If I had to hazard a guess, and please feel free to stick your input in, I would say that in Levi's mind, Owen had essentially given up, or at least resigned himself to death, in like a sweet release from that world in order to forward humanity's plan. This is probably indicated by the final thank you and his smile after he says the words. Then as he sees Armin in his mind, he's met with the notion of a young man who very much still has dreams of living on in this world and seeing everything it has to offer. That's probably the best way I could put it, but as I say, I'm interested to know your thoughts. Tight Armin. Firstly, for Bertolt finally getting what he deserves in my opinion. Secondly, I really like this brief pause from him where it's like, for a moment he's filled with hope. My friends are over there, I'm saved. That's such a powerful moment, especially as he comes to his senses and instead calls for Reiner and Annie to help him. Rest in peace, Owen. This was a genuinely sad moment for me, to be honest, and I'm sure for a great many of you as well. Can I get an F in the chat? As sad as Owen's death is, it's immediately followed up with the rebirth, as it were, of Armin. This episode was just throwing emotions all over the place at us. Oh, I wonder if this is perhaps a little flashback to some information we'll be getting in Season 4 about Bertolt around the time he first gained the powers. This view must have taken a damn age to put together.
俺の市場でエルヴィンの死に場所をここに決めちまったんだ。
After saying this rather cold line in his classic style, this look on the side of his face just tells me it weighs heavily on him.
帰ったら ずっと秘密にしていた地下室を見せてやろう。
I was near bursting at the seams at the notion that we were going to finally see the basement this episode when I first watched this. I adore the panning, zooming out, and all the rest of those types of shots they utilise in this amazing anime to make it as artistic as possible. Witnessing up and close the results of humanity having departed the city many years ago. That's such a nice addition. I adore this music score backing up this memory of them as children running through a bright, lively and bustling street, now overgrown and deserted. Oh god, that's genuinely made me sad to see. Their box and stools are still there from all those years ago on that fateful day. Man, I love this anime so damn much. I don't think they could have chosen any better way to do this. Absolutely stunning to have them retracing their steps like this. His mother's shoe and then finally returning home after all those years. Attack on Titan can sure punch you in the emotional and figurative groin.
どけ。俺が開ける。
ちょっと
Door kicking Levi. This slow transition and knowing it was likely purposefully done to build some suspense at this huge pivotal moment. Just like with the door just now, this moment again continues to build an epic level of suspense. That's delicious.
いや、人が描いたものとは思えないほどの精巧さだ。
I loved this moment because it's the first time we're given an idea about the outside world's technology.
人類は滅んでなどいない。この本を最初に手にする者が同胞であることを願う。
This amazing reveal, arguably the greatest of the entire anime thus far. I also want to give props here for how well the whole pacing of the story and reveals of its secrets were handled by the mangaka and by the animators later on. When I think of shows that started off awesome like Lost, but then just kept throwing mystery after mystery into the viewer's face without ever answering them, it makes me understand how well this anime handles its secrets and its answers for them. It's a masterpiece in my mind. This montage, instead of the regular ED, just affirmed for me what is likely the largest turning point in the main character's combined arc. It's the end of their cadet days of knowing nothing of the world and the start of something so much bigger in scale.
待ちなさい、二人とも。外に出るときは腕章を忘れるなって言ってるだろ。
This last minute epic twist at the end of the episode! Also, take another win for daring to draw some elements from reality into your imagined world. The fact that some media outlets had the gall to call this episode and the next ones all sorts of derogatory names because they think it's inappropriate to their sensitive sensibilities just makes me add this win all the more happily.
グリシャ、壁の外には絶対に出るんじゃないよ。
おい、待て!
I wonder if this is perhaps an allegory to their 100-year imprisonment behind the city walls on the island. World building on an absolutely legendary scale.
いいんだよ。少しだけならすぐに戻ります。おい、待てお前ら。
あの幼き日。
How this light-hearted kids getting up to no good kind of vibe and music sets us up for an absolutely ruthless, heartbreaking turn of events. Episode 20 kicks us off with once again another important look at world building as we see that beyond the walls lies much cleaner streets with fancy buildings and well-dressed citizens going about their day. A lot can be gleaned from a single frame, and Attack on Titan and its expert animator crew capitalise on this fact. Also, once again, we're shown technology to give us a much greater understanding of how far along they are tech-wise compared to our history. Moving multiple characters on screen. Getting already a great understanding of the situation the kids are in and everyone living back behind those walls. Goodness me, that gets a win. What comes next makes this all the worse in that he feels in this moment that he did the right thing taking his sister to see it because he's happy that she's happy and oh my god, it's awful.
妹は翌日、川で発見された。
For this sickening reveal.
今から1820年前、我々の祖先ユミル・フリッツは大地の悪魔と契約し、巨人の力を手に入れる。
Not only taking the time to think of a backstory upon which your entire world will sit upon, but also taking that same time to come up with a second version of the story used by the anime's ruling citizens to keep down the Eldians. Also, I gotta add that I just adore these scenes, since it truly comes across like you're watching history unfold through the images.
増長を極めたエルディアに内部工作を挑み、さらには9つの巨人のうち7つを手駒に従え。
Dropping a win for foreshadowing this event, and I must say if it's never touched upon again as to how this feat was achieved, I'll genuinely be disappointed. Purely because the notion that 7 out of 9 Titans were brought under their control is a story I do not want to miss out on. No an Attack on Titan though, I'm sure they'll cover this at least a bit in Season 4.
当時のエルディアの王はこのパラディ島に三重の壁を築き、我々の祖先は見捨てられ、この大陸に取り残されたが、
I believe for the first time ever getting a view of a world map for this anime. Man, I love stuff like that!
もうフェイもそんなことしてない！街を歩いただけだ！
お前はなんだ?
Even though it does come across as foolish, and their later reactions certainly don't help that notion, at this point in time his father comes across to me in this scene as a man just desperate to protect his son and his family.
そんなことが。妹の事件の真相を知ったとき、心に誓った。
Well, I'm not going to show it, but we see his sister's death by doggos, and that's just... I'm sad now.
姿を見せることなく復権派を導いた。見ろ、これが真実だ。
Getting to see multiple people in this room who would later become Titans that attacked the city in Season 1.
我々の始祖ユミルは巨人の力に目覚め、荒れ地を耕し、道を作り。
And here we learn about the other side of the story, one which paints the Eldians in a no doubt rightfully much greater and justified light.
これさえ手にすれば他の巨人すべてを支配し、マーレを打ち滅ぼすことができる。
For this beautiful looking picture. Also, just a guess, but I wonder if the horn she's depicted as holding is meant to demonstrate her power to cool and control the Titans, like a call to arms or something similar.
当時の王は巨人対戦時、大陸内の力の均衡を保つという役目を放棄し、辺境の島に都を移したのです。
See, now this is what I was referring to earlier about feeling like I'm witnessing ancient history. Just look at how amazing this looks as Titans and humans battle each other.
フクロウからの情報によると、マーレ政府が動き出した理由は、軍事技術の発展による資源争奪の時代に。
Very clever to show us the first events of them starting an invasion of sorts against the walled city.
莫大な化石燃料を埋蔵するパラディ島は、決して無視できるものではなくなった。
It was also very clever to then give us a reason for said invasion against the walled city. Symbolism.
何にせよ、ジークは自らと祖父祖母の安全を選んだ。愚かな良心をマーレ政府に差し出すことと引き換えに。
Learning how Zeke became a tool of the military and adding in that he chose to protect his grandparents was a nice touch that I hope they come back to later.
楽園。
そうだ。
Once again, in terms of world building, Attack on Titan knocks it out of the bloody park, showing us the edge of the island, the wall they built, the desert, the soldiers working, and the boats used to transport Eldians to be transformed. Wow, that's sick. I love seeing it from this point of view, though. This guy's outstanding goddamn voice acting throughout the entire scene. The epic, and I do mean epic, plot twist that she in fact turned into the Titan that were going to eat Eren's mother.
泣いてるの、エレン。
Cute bedhead Mikasa.
いや、夢じゃねえ。記憶だ。
Giving us a great look at how memories are passed down from one Titan to the next.
どうかしてると思うか？でも、人は残酷なのが見たいんだよ。
Hearing this guy talk is just plain old painful. He takes such delight in causing them agony. However, it does make what happens soon all the more enjoyable.
そうだ、妹が読んでるぞ。
This plot twist just utterly caught me by surprise. I just think he risked a lot by acting quite as slowly as he did, given that he could have very well just chucked him straight off, rather than taunting him a little bit up top. Oh yes, that kid's a definite win. Eat him up, boy! Then these 30 seconds or so get another win for the final twist of the episode and the epic music and everything.
フクロウ、あんたは何者だ？
俺はエレン・クルーガー。
Erin reference.
その通りだ。俺はダメな父親で、ダメな夫で。
Man, that's stunning.
なあ、あの巨人でもっと早く暴れていれば、みんなも巨人にされずに済んだんじゃないのか？
Originally I was going to sin how he failed to save Dina and pass the attack Titan power onto her, but before I did that, I sat down, had a long think, and then remembered that the King's vow would have taken over her, and the whole plan would have been pointless. In short, I love how many branching stories there are, that it allows you to have a deep think, and then remember things that then make sense.
何も成し遂げることなく、生きたまま焼かれた。
Oh my god!
俺が継承したのも13年前になる。
フクロウはそれをユミルの呪いと言っていた。
Flicking the scene and information being gathered back and forth between Eren's father and then Eren, filling in blanks we've been wanting to know about for years, at least in my case.
残り8年。もうないな。
違う。これは何かの間違い。
Mikasa refusing to believe the truth right before her eyes is yet more evidence of her utter devotion to Eren.
時には記憶や意志もその道を通り送られてくる。そしてその道は全て一つの座標で交わる。
This way of explaining it at least starts to shed some light onto what is probably one of the biggest mysteries out there, perhaps one that may never be answered. How does the coordinate actually work, other than needing royal blood, or perhaps contact with a person of royal blood, which we already know about? For Eren's full epic speech, one which profoundly affected Grisha and ultimately set him upon the path to complete his lifelong mission, finally getting to see this moment and how it built up to the events of Season 1 is just outstanding.
その巨人はいついかなる時代においても自由を求めて進み続けた。名は
進撃の巨人。
The Attack Titan. That's what the anime is called. Kind of. Almost though. On a serious note though, how brilliant is it to finally have the name tied into something directly from the anime, and to top it all off, it also makes perfect sense in how it's used.
やってたよね。二人とも今の見たでしょ？ほら。今のは何だったの、エレン。
Hanji being Hanji. My word, I'd have missed her if she was gone.
親愛なるヒストリアへ。今私の隣にはライナーがいる。
Mentioned this before a while ago, I think, but I enjoy the notion that there's this written language created just for the anime. Foreshadowing some more mysteries, and I'm not even mad because Attack on Titan always takes its time to answer all of their mysteries, and I'll forever love it for that.
臆した王から始祖の巨人を取り上げろ。それが俺たちの使命だ。
I love that music.
あの時は一瞬だけ全てがつながった気がした。
血を引くものです。
まさか
This reality that it was the Smiling Titan, aka Dina, who had royal blood in her and upon touching her allowed Eren to control the pure Titans.
びっくりした。どうしたの？突然。
Also, her reaction to what follows is brilliant.
続けたまえ、我らの巨人よ。
Dropping another win here for this comment. It just feels as though the anime and us as viewers have come so very far from the days of Eren being chained up while the military and others considered executing him to now the head of said military calling him our Titan, like with pride.
そうだ。かもしれないだ。だが、その可能性があるといえば、兵団はヒストリアをどうする？
Eren showing genuine concern for Historia is really touching. He's an extremely loyal lad.
ミカサやアルミン。みんなを救いたいなら使命を全うしろ。
ミカサ？アルミン？誰のことだ？
さあ、わからない。誰の記憶だろう。
Add another mystery to Season 4 after that statement. Holy heck, what did he mean by that?
その巨人はいついかなる時代においても自由を求めて進み続けた。
I suppose that in a huge way, this Titan truly fits perfectly at home within Eren, given his non-stop tenacity to fight, so that's a really nice touch.
人類を脅かす人食い巨人の正体は人間であり、
我々と同じ祖先を持つ民族、ユミルの民だった。
Dude, they drew this? That's insane. Huge credit to them.
マルロは最後まで勇敢だったよ。
Taking the time to shout out Marlowe instead of just moving straight on past his death like it never happened. I just want to point out, in case anyone is curious as to why we've skipped a good solid 4 minutes of the anime without a win, and the answer is this. I ripped this scene to shreds on Anime Sins. The newbie talks so much BS that I took apart his comments, and to be honest, not much else happened in those few minutes.
きっと壁の外には自由が。
Having said that though, Eren's speech getting interrupted by his father's memories is a poignant moment which nicely links to his comment at the very end of the episode about freedom. He's realising right now as he's saying it that in the outside world is just more cruelty in prison awaiting him and his friends, not freedom. Gaining the understanding that Eren need merely make contact with royal blood, or skin I guess, in order to have it have some kind of effect on him.
壁の王よ、今すぐ壁に攻めてきた巨人を殺してください。妻や子供たちが。
Learning that during all of that utter carnage that Eren's father was attempting to save everyone by convincing the king to use his power to control all of the titans. Really it now puts into perspective just how essential his actions were in taking the power away from royalty and giving it to his son, as it's clear the king would simply have allowed the entire city to be destroyed without ever fighting back. This anime deals with the time jump in such a beautiful way, showing us the build-up of snow and then the changing of the seasons with excellent narration from your boy Armin too. Some anime do time jumps and continue to have their characters unchanged, but I adore how this anime has now changed Eren once again, now showing him with longer hair. It's such a nice added touch of realism. Showing the tracks from the Titan who'd been making its way to the walls for so long that plants had fully grown in its wake. Wow, wow, wow. Them playing in the water, having seen the ocean for the first time, and Jin's reaction is amazing. Kawaii.
向こうにいる敵全部殺せば俺たち自由になれるのか?
Definitely dropping a win for this. Such a strong statement about their freedom, just like I mentioned before. Matthew Blancet, Nick Wyndham, Lightly Winter, Christopher Willis, Draki, Fancy Turtle, Kepan, Liam Knight, Luis Minito, Marquez, Orekeeper, The Epic Commander, Bird Without a Word, Brandon Crea, Brian Bayot, Christian Torassa, Commander Cyrus, Doggos for Life, Dragonstorm 35, Emmanuel Gonzalez, Aaron Winters, I Am Here, Your Edvinson, Kevin Alston, Cumfroik, Kylie Welp, Lisa Marie Timp, Magnus, Nathan Burr, Peter Milligan, Satakayari, Sionx 44, Sean, Sheriff Yuchiya, The 100s, Elemental Awards, Wiccan Faye, Ali 50, Brainless Ben, Cecilia, Cloud Garden, Cedric, Dark Lord Bloody Soul, Def the Kid 123, Devon, Eclipse Mage, Garrett Vermeesh, Gibbs, Hoved Loads Ritter, Israel Caldera, Jason Davies, John, Juffer 6263, Kelnock, Kevin Nelter, Kai 158, Kyle Jones, Laxor, Laxus, Liam Gagati, Lifty, Lionel Schultz, Marvin, Michael Lewis, Mr. Firecool, Natsu Dragneel, Nick Monaco, Nick Pell, 9028, Oliver Smiley Reacts, Q Flash, Ryan DeVeres, Sentimento, Storm 970, TRS, The Danish Muggle, Tricky Nicky, Willyman,